is Late Night at the Euros.
We are live in Munich! This summer.
I'm James Cranfield, a Global VP of Sales and Partnerships here at Cinedeck, and we are joined by
Lewis Holleran, the Technical Operations Manager at Edit123 in Glasgow.
Thank you, Lewis. And we're going to be talking about a view from the terrace and late night at the Euros, and how Cinedeck become into your workflow. So what workflows was you considering before Cinedeck, Lewis?
So this all started with A View from the Terrace, which is a topical studio show for BBC Scotland all about Scottish football. And it had been running for a few seasons, where we had quite a traditional workflow, recording the camera cards, backing them up, and then passing it to the edit. And it was a bit clunky, and people were working late into the night. And so we wanted to. I'd been looking at for a couple of years about how we could streamline that. And then production came to me saying they wanted to take the show on the road and record in front of live audiences around Scotland. And that really wouldn't have been possible with that workflow. So it was good we'd already been looking into options. So they wanted to record for the live audiences and have a offline suite on site that was able to start editing during the record, which is going to be on a Wednesday. It would need an online grade, dub, all that on the Thursday to air on the Friday. And we looked at a few different ingest servers that I won't mention, but only Cinedeck had all the features we were looking for, and also a cost point that suited the budget. And one thing was, if there was anything that we were looking for, you guys were like, okay, we can make it happen. And other places weren't interested in that, so that was a really big selling point for us.
So what was some of the features that sort of helped you increase productivity and reduce the cost?
Well, for us, it needed to be able to record Avid media files to Nexus storage direct from the cameras, of which for this production there was 6 of them. So that we can begin editing straight away. And a big part of that as well is the segmentation function that Cinedeck has. So, we could set it 5 minutes, 10 minutes to chunk, because Avid can edit well capture group clips, multicam.
Right.
But if you segment it, then it can. So that was an Avid issue rather than a Cinedeck issue. So it was good to have the segmentation option to get around that. So it meant, we could be editing straight away. So say, 5 minutes after they've pressed start, record on the cameras, whereas previously they would be recording for an hour, and then you'd have half an hour as all the cards were put onto a drive and then passed to the editor. It just really wasn't working very well. So with that, we were really cut the edit hours down by about 6 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that's huge. That's across 2 editors, because there was 2 offline editors. But that's massive. If you're finishing at 9 at night instead of midnight.
Yeah.
Or midnight instead of 3 in the morning. It's great, especially if you've got for production as well, when they've got to go to, then they've been recording all day, they've been in the edit, and then having to go in online the next day as well. If they're working till 3, getting home at 4, and then having to get back in the office at 8.
Yeah.
I don't know how they managed it for 4 seasons. And then this workflow changed all that and made that, that increases their productivity. It also meant that we could free our staff up for other jobs. It's also like the system we were using for that was quite portable. So we were able to fit the setup and then a state car to drive it around Scotland, drive it to Munich, rather than having to hire a big van or having to ship it and having to pay for those kind of costs. And since that first series of using Cinedeck, since then, going to Munich for late night of the Euros, we've developed the workflow to make it even more efficient. And then the last series, we cut down from a 3-day turnaround to 2. And in Munich, we were filming 9 episodes over 13 days with a daily turnaround, you know. So, and if it wasn't for Cinedeck and the reliability of it, then we wouldn't be able to have done that.
Right, yeah, awesome. And I guess obviously with every as live production, compliance is a concern. So how beneficial was the SRT out from the SDI feeds that Cinedeck supports?
I mean, that's another big thing that made it possible, and also saved a lot of time. Because that SRT output meant that we were able to have lawyer and executive oversight without having to export our copy after record, meaning that changes could be actioned instantly. You have like a half-hour section you film, and then you check with lawyer. It takes 30 seconds. Great. Let's do a pickup on that, and you should do it right there and then, rather than everyone's gone home.
Right.
And then what are you going to do? You're like, oh no, we need to take this other section and drop it back in, and then that adds even more time, or maybe you don't have enough other footage to add in. So yeah, it was really, really essential with such tight turnarounds. We wouldn't have had the option to bring crew and talent back in to reshoot a section. So legally and editorially, it saved a lot of stress, because obviously execs will have notes, and it ensured that we had a product that the broadcaster would be happy with, and they're not worrying that there's going to be issues further down the line. So it's a major time saver, taking away that requirement to export or have a separate executive viewing while everyone's sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting on notes, just allowing the record and edit to be really efficient and minimizing delays.
Yeah, fantastic. And you pushed that straight to Zoom, is that right?
Yeah, we pushed it to Zoom, but we also we started doing it via, we've got another system called Clash. We did it through that as well. So just anything that you can take an SRT output through. It was actually for Zoom can't take an SRT output, so we had to put it through VLC and then share VLC.
Oh, okay.
but it's such a simple setup, and it works really nicely. So
yeah, fantastic. So obviously we've worked for quite a while together now on your productions. I guess how beneficial was Cinedeck's flexibility with sort of solution hire and stuff too, for you guys?
It's been hugely beneficial. The production of View from the Terrace, we mainly use Cinedeck for shoots for 2 blocks of 10 weeks with a 2-month break over winter. So being able to hire a solution allows us to work with that production's budget and make it all possible. But it's not just terms of cost savings. It's then we've had the flexibility to be able to ramp up for other productions we've used Cinedeck for, such as Late Night at the Euros in Germany, and also Up Late with Nicola Benedetti, which was filmed part of the Edinburgh Festival. For that one, we hired the software rather than the server. So having those different options of what you can do, because it wasn't, we didn't need the same kind of setup for that. So it meant we could be able to create a bespoke solution. That if that production, it was going to be really difficult for them to do that otherwise. And it was made it possible and made it successful. So successful, it actually won an RTS Scotland Live Event Award earlier this month.
Oh, right. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Just 11 days ago, it won that Live Event Award. So yeah, it was a really good moment.
Yeah, that is brilliant. That is fantastic. Obviously, we all know that industry-wide budgets are being cut. What's the future for production? Who knows? Will Cinedeck's new Obviously, a new RX3 unit. Been able to keep sort of budgets restraints and maintain the same professional standards. I know it's a newly released solution released at NAB the start of this year. Very small and portable. So yeah, do you feel that could be a benefit for productions as they go forward and budgets are squeezed?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, budget cuts in post, alongside rising energy costs and particularly ever-increasing support costs, mean, and rates aren't going up, mean that we're having to continue to streamline our workflows, which is a really difficult ask when so many of them are already so efficient. There's been a big cut to the tariff for sport in Scotland. So for the Terrace, they thought they would have to go back to a more traditional workflow and potentially lose topicality. However, with the release of the RX3, we could see that there was an opportunity to stop that from happening. The plan is now to shoot on 3 cameras instead of 6, directly ingest into the RX3 to proxies on Lucid Link and full res on SSD, with then the offline happening back at Edit123, accessing that proxy media on Lucid Link to begin editing straight away, with the high res then arriving back in time for online. The plan is to shoot in a social club as well, rather than in a studio, so the connectivity might be a little bit weak, which is particularly in Scotland, which is why we're going down that proxy route for that.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's the RX3, we could do it high res, but just it makes sense for us to be able to confirm that it's going to get there via domestic broadband. And you know, all this is saving time on the backup of cards, transporting the drives, and then ingesting before we can start editing. That 6-hour time saving we were talking about before, you know.
Yeah.
And you know that the new RX3 server, you know, it gives us more scope to maintain topicality and quality without us all having to work late into the night.
Yeah. I mean, to sort of take a step back into sort of old workflows, it's going to help you still to carry on moving forward.
Even though everything is kind of stripped back, it's still going to be, you know, I think it's still going to be able to help us provide a high quality show, and it'll give editorial more space and more time, more productivity, as you're saying, you know, to actually ensure that it's going to be a quality product rather than taking up time waiting for drives and waiting for ingest and this kind of thing. You know, it's all active time.
Right, yeah.
And then fresh minds as well. You know, what does it say? There's no good decisions at 3 in the morning.
Right, yeah, totally. Fantastic. So it airs on BBC Scotland and BBC iPlayer, isn't it?
Yep. BBC Scotland and BBC iPlayer. Now that we've got this new workflow, it actually used to not air on BBC iPlayer until Friday evening. But since we started doing the Cinedeck workflow, they started airing it at midday on the Friday, because we could get the files to them sooner, and they could process it quicker. Oh,
fantastic! So obviously, anybody who's watching this, definitely go over and check it out, take a look. Yeah, so
there won't actually be any on iPlayer just now because it was only up for 28 days because it's got the football footage in it. But when it starts back in the end of September, they should tune in.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Well, thanks for your time. It's been really insightful, and as always, we look forward to the next production, and no doubt we'll speak again. IBC. We've done it twice. I think we need to do the hat trick. Hopefully this year, if you guys are attending, be good to do that talk on your production again at the show. So yeah, that'd be good fun.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'll see you at the beach bar.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, cheers, Lewis.
Always a pleasure, mate. Speak to you soon.
Yeah, Speak soon.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.